Hi everyone, it's Leon here with another fantastic network. In fact, I'm going to say in the world that a lot of us out there appear in and work within, I'm going to say the networker, Mr. Lee Foster. How are you doing today?
I am very well, Leon, indeed. Thank you so much for inviting me back on to have a catch up with you, my friend. So
Brilliant.
thank you very
And
much.
thank you for not doing that pre-Zoom thing that you do so well.
What, this bit?
And as I carry on talking, oh, he's not there. Oh,
You
but he's
think
back.
I've
There
frozen?
we are. Brilliant. The main reason for our catch up today is a few people out there in social media land may have spotted that it is exactly 4 years since you started Revitalise networking in a completely different world to where we are now. Why don't you just share with people a little bit about how the whole concept and idea started and maybe where it started as well?
No, sure. I mean, I had an idea, and thanks for asking, Leon. When I look back on the 28th of June, sort of this month, they got launched in June itself. Prior to that, I had various different thoughts, but going back even further, probably about 4 or 5 years previous to that, I did a bit of a concept with a couple of business owners at Motherwell Football Club. We had a round table around that area and discussed an idea that was part of Revitalise in its early infancy. But then in the early part of 2017, I just came out of working in a corporate industry. So I was with the travel industry for 8.5 years, head of sales for the UK, looking after Scotland, Northern England, and Ireland within the holiday trade, and then started networking in January 2017. Then I was enjoying meeting people, connecting people. The business concierge was then formed because it came with um, on an afternoon after each event, I used to introduce people to one another by the virtual network on LinkedIn. And then there was one day I was down in Troon at a hotel, not mention any names, there's many hotels to choose from. And I was down there talking about Whiskey Ambassador, talking about the whiskey industry, how to engage more with the water of life. And I was traveling back up the road from Troon on a road called the M77. So an little hotel called the Fennec Hotel, and decided, do you know what? I'm going to launch my own networking event. So I went in there and asked the question. They gave me a little room at the back of the restaurant. I invited many people to come along. 21 people came along to it. And Revitalise was launched. Back then, it was the face-to-face. You had the guest speaker, we had a sponsor, we had little gift bags to give away, teas, coffees, and plenty of conversation. And then by August of that same year, from 21, there was 69 people in the room. So it started to expand. The format, the structure, it all started to develop as such, Leon. And it was great at bringing it to fruition, because then seeing it in action from an idea to what was happening was really, really an eye opener, but a great time to be when I've reflected back recently to where it all began.
Grows from 21 people up to 69, carries on successfully for a few years, and then all of a sudden, beginning 2020 last year, what were your initial thoughts having built up something with a great group of people around Glasgow, people traveling a little bit from Scotland, maybe a bit from the north of England? What were your initial thoughts on how things might have gone?
Well, we couldn't do the face to face, so something had to come into play. And I remember one of my members had a word with me and had a chat, and he says, "Keep an eye on this thing that's coming up. Something's happening around the world." All right, okay. So there's a bit of insight, and it was in January last year. I went, okay, I'll have a look at this. So I did some research. I'd used WebEx and I used Citrix before with like some webinars online with the holiday career. And I thought, right, what's a Zoom all about? So I looked at Zoom and I thought that was the best package to use to work on an online business club model, because over the previous years up till last year, it all started to happen. Um, it was the business club was starting to grow demographic across Glasgow and Scotland and the Central Belt. So there's a lot of people joining, being part of the accountability network sessions that I run each month. They're getting involved and they're being kept accountable for their networking activities. In that early part of last year, or the 2020, I went, I need to do something online. It's either one way to go. So I told all the members, I postponed the events, worked on an online platform, and in March the 19th, if I think correctly, I launched the first online event. Kept a familiar type of structure to it, same type of feel, and I wanted to give the same energy into the Revitalise events that people felt when they were in that face-to-face, giving people a chance to have a voice, to be visible, to be active, to be engaged online. And that worked extremely well. But what happens is, as you've probably noticed as well, is that the visibility gets further. So with working online now, we've now got a global coverage. And I've embraced that more over the last fair few months. You know, working online meant I could still facilitate the accountability network sessions for the RBC members. I could then work and fine tune the events on the feedback and suggestions I was getting from the RBC community and attendees. So I could tailor make it to where it felt more engaging for members and guests attending. So it meant it was a fully interactive online event as such. From a start or finish and everything in between keeps the conversation flowing. So from initially seeing that, going, wow, what we're going to do, no, this is what I'm going to do, this is the vision, this is how I want it to work. And then I'll listen to my members and put other ideas into place. Because I have to adapt quickly in this marketplace, especially with using technology. So now embracing the virtual network, it's opened up the geography even further.
What would you say over the 4 years you are most proud of within the network, whether it's been face-to-face or online, the community? What are your highlights?
That word that you just mentioned there in that sentence, community. You know, the biggest thing I'm proud of, a lot of things have happened to us all over the years. A sense of community and support that you have from others. You know, one of the biggest things that I'm proud of is the people that I work with, the people that I support and help. That's where it all began from, Leon. That's where it all started from, was being that conduit between people, revitalizing their month, connecting people 24/7. You know, I get a real buzz and putting people in the right place at the right time, or in front of someone where they're going to have that conversation. And it might not be initial business straight away, but I know further along the line, it opens up to be business opportunities. The biggest thing I'm proud of is the community feel, the essence of people working together, not just as clients, but as a team. You know, I've noticed that a lot over the last few months. You know, I'm extremely proud of the people that are around me, and I'm very, very appreciative of everybody who's been part of Revitalise over the last 4 years, who have helped in personal and in business. You know, I think there's a great way of people are there to support one another. And that's one of the biggest things I'm so proud of, is the people that have helped me, and I've had the chance to help them along their journey.
It is very, very notable. I can say from a personal point of view, having been networking for, it sounds weird, but decades now, it seems like a terrible word to use, but having networked for decades, and that initial conversation that I had with you almost a year ago, basically, what are you up to, explaining a bit about Revitalise, and actually then seeing how that community worked. And I thought, well, this seems like a really good group of people to be involved in, part of. And it's one of the reasons why so many of us will actually let other people know, say, look, come and have a look. From my perspective, it's very different to other things that are out there. There are some great things. There are some things that maybe could be improved, but that feel of everybody wanting to help everybody, I think is very, very apparent. Just finally, where do you see things going now? The world is constantly changing. Every day there's different news, different things. You can do this, you can't do this. You can do this today, but you couldn't do it yesterday, and vice versa. Where do you see things going in the, let's say, the near future?
Well, I think for the foreseeable future, it'll be online because it's opened up the geography further for more people to speak to one another across the globe. And that's one of the big things I noticed with Revitalise, the way it goes forward, is a global network, a global event that I'm running once a month now. And I'm embracing that even further now because we've got our first Canadian member who's just joined us as well. So we can bridge over the pond or across the pond, as like to call it, and across the whole of the globe. We've had from Australia, from Abu Dhabi, to the likes of Europe, Spain, people joining us. There we go, all over the place. So the map that's behind Leon there. So I think the way I see it going forward is that it's got a global event. You know, we've got people from Chicago to the East Coast to the West Coast of the United States and further afield. I'm all about bringing more people together because even if you are in a different position around the world, you can still help one another. You can still give advice, and you would possibly be able to give opportunities for business. We can now do business remotely. You know, we're doing this by the power of Zoom. You can do that anywhere across the world, of course, time scales wise, but that's where I see Revitalise going next is the global coverage, is the global events that I'll be running with many people from all over the world, communicating, contacting with one another, and building meaningful business relationships up.
Final message out there to two groups of people I'd like you to mention. Firstly, a final message to people who are already part of that journey over the last 4 years, and maybe a message to people who haven't yet discovered what Revitalise are doing.
Well, a big message to everybody who's been part of Revitalise for the last 4 years is thank you so much from here to you all, because with you, you are the club, you are the people that bring the club together. I just love running it, facilitating it, and supporting every single one of them. I'm always on hand to give any advice as I can possibly give and put people in the right direction to discover those opportunities in the relationships that they are building. So thank you so much for being part of it, past and present. People have been part of that journey throughout the last 4 years. To everybody who hasn't been to Revitalise yet, please come along. Check it out. It's not just an event, it's a community. You've got other elements inside the actual RBC network community, from the accountability network sessions to keep you on track of all your networking activities, to being online with the global events once a month on the last Wednesday of each month, to be visible, to be active, and to be engaged, to make sure you're discovering opportunities in the conversation. And as always, just reach out to me or Leon or any of the RBC team, have that conversation, come along, try it. And if you like it, join it and get involved. But Leon, to yourself as well, thank you so much for all of your support over the last year or so after our first initial conversation outside of the golf course. Hopefully we can get a game of golf very soon and catch up for that proper cup of coffee.
It's been a brilliant year from my perspective. Like you say, just being able to connect up with people and be able to point them in a direction for the people that they need to meet. And I know it's something that you're very, very passionate about. Lee, all that's left for me to say is massive congratulations on that 4-year journey. And even bigger congratulations for being able to take that community, put it online when it was something that had to happen, and actually seeing it grow and grow and grow in these very interesting times that we've had. So it's certainly helped me. I know it's helped a lot of people out there in social media land, who I know again will be really looking forward to some face-to-face, but I think, as you said, it's going to be a combination of both going forward, which will be good for everyone locally and further afield as well. So out there in social media land, I can say personally, if you haven't come along, Try Revitalise for free. See what is going on with that community. See how people help each other. I would strongly recommend connecting up with Lee and making sure that you and some of the people that you know come along, see what it's all about. There's so many opportunities throughout the month to get involved and be part of the amazing community of people. Lee, congratulations again.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Leon. Thank you to you. Thanks to everybody who's been watching and listening today. I look forward to seeing everybody soon at the next event or the next session. Thanks again.